everybody, and welcome to the Level 30 Games podcast. My name is Tom. You know that. I'm here with Joe today. We're not here with Kevin. He was supposed to come. He canceled last minute. Thanks for hanging out with us. Joe, thanks for being here so early on a Sunday morning. Very much appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me and my raspy voice.
That's okay. My voice is raspy as well. Both had long days, end of the school year, getting over colds. Yay, summer. And happy summer to everyone. We're finally getting that summer out here on the West Coast. That weather's been pretty crappy the last few days, but now we're getting some sunshine, some heat. It's officially summertime.
Yeah, I think I woke up and it was like 78 degrees.
Oh, see, I kind of hate that. I hate when you get out of bed and you're like, I got to start my day at 7 a.m. and it's 84. And you're like, well, this day's going to get worse. But what are you going to do?
I like the summer.
Oh, no, so do I.
I'm
very happy to have a break from school, get into some of the backlog, and just kind of relax and unwind a little bit. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about something that happened last week. That would be a Nintendo Direct. Now, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. I usually have my ear to the ground for this kind of thing, and I didn't get any sense that this was on the horizon until like the day before.
Yeah, I had no idea until I saw your text in the group chat that said Direct Mañana. And was that you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think it was you. Yeah, I had literally no idea. Usually there's at least some rumblings that are like, we should expect something soon. But
And I disregard those rumblings anyway.
That's fair.
Because it's like, hey, if it happens, it happens. But
even those didn't come up.
it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it. And then I talked to Kevin, and he was like, oh, no, there's been some stuff. I'm like, I don't know where you're looking, but I didn't catch anything. Anyway, it was quite the pleasant surprise. Which it happened to fall on the middle of the last day of school. So it was kind of a nice, hey, guess what, class? We're going to watch this today. Thankfully, I'll see if I can get them in the video. I have some I had some students record some reactions of me. I didn't know it at the time. In retrospect, it's actually pretty wholesome. But one announcement in particular got me really excited. And we're going to run through kind of the direct, what we thought, some impressions. I did whip up a game for the end. Now, it was built for two people, Joe, and I can't play, so you're going to play both parts. So we'll blame Kevin on that one. Kevin is no longer a guest on the podcast. He's just the guy we blame for everything that goes wrong with the podcast.
Yeah.
On top of which, if you did check out our last Zelda-filled episode, I want to thank you. It was our highest rated, most watched episode that we've had in a very long time, and so thank you. Hopefully we can continue that trend. I know our direct reactions are coming a little bit later than every other YouTuber on the planet, but if you check in with us, it's because we're not lapsed. We just have a lot of other worldly stuff going on, and we appreciate you taking your time to listen to us ramble on about things that made us happy like 30 years ago.
Should we only talk about Zelda so we just keep getting high ranked
No,
episodes?
that would be a little that would kind of run out its wear. Although I think IGN, they converted their Nintendo podcast to like a Zelda podcast for like 6 or 7 episodes specifically, and it's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie, shout out to those folks. No, what we will have is Zelda like kind of check in, like, hey, give us an update on some stuff section later in the podcast, because I do think that is a game that, man, I just feel like I've only scratched the surface with, even though I've played a handful of hours, and I'm loving it. But we'll check in on that in a little bit later. So last Wednesday, Nintendo did a 40-minute direct. They said they had an emphasis on Pikmin 4 and then a couple other games that they wanted to showcase. Joe, I'm just right out of the gate here. What was I got the whole list of games on our rundown. What to you was like the biggest announcement that really got you hyped?
I was excited to see a Sonic game.
Okay.
Very excited to see that. The Metal Gear was a surprise, and I'm stoked for that. I think that's awesome. But also the side-scrolling Mario at the end. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem. My thing is, it doesn't seem like a like real big Mario game. Like, it's like a side-scroller in the sense that every time they do it, where they're like, here's the new Mario game, here's a couple of like extra things that make it a new game, but overall, I don't want to say it's nothing special, but we're not breaking any new ground here. We're just adding like a little.
But are they? I mean, Mario turns into an elephant.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I mean, okay, it's what I'm getting at is, like, remember when the new Super Mario Bros. Came out and the new thing was that, like, Mario gets really friggin' big?
Oh, for like 2 levels?
Yeah. But, like, it wasn't breaking new ground in any sense other than that. Like, it was just
True.
like one new mechanic that they threw in, or, two new mechanics that they threw in. And that's what this one is looking like. And I think that's kind of refreshing coming off the heels of, like, having Zelda, which is just a very well fleshed out game, that if I can go from that into Mario, where I know I just need to, like, run to the right for like 8 hours and maybe eventually turn into an elephant, it's kind of like a cool breather to have.
That's actually a really good point that you bring up, because I can start that game and go, I can finish this. Like, there's an end in mind, and it's not like 100+ hours in the horizon. It's like, this might take me 10 hours, and that's cool, because that's all I need it to be, to do 1 or 2 levels as a, I don't know, maybe not an unwind, but like I think you're right. Like, it's a palate cleanser, so to speak.
Yeah.
For some of the meatier games that were on show today, but also that I know I'm in the midst of playing, Zelda being one of them. What did you think about the first thing that caught my attention, outside of the honest initial, like, oh, it's another new Super Mario Brothers style game? But it isn't. It isn't. The art style caught me off guard almost immediately within the animations of Mario himself. Like, he seemed a little bit more expressive, and he looked a little bit different than he normally did. And then the game goes on to look like an acid trip in every sense of the animation world. It just looks really weird.
It is kind of bright and flowery.
Oh, that's all
right?
Mario
True
games.
And then he turns into an elephant.
I don't know. There was something about the way
assy.
that he looked that was a little unexpected. It wasn't traditional 2D Mario, and it wasn't, I thought maybe, hey, they're going to do something kind of in line with how he looks in the movie, given the success of that. And it was somewhere almost in between. Again, the expressions were there, but he looked a little different. Pay attention to those animations. They look like a little bit more personality was put into that.
Maybe we should do a mini-sode where we rewatch the trailer and I pay attention to it, because apparently I didn't. I didn't catch it, but I also wasn't like looking for it. I don't know. I didn't notice.
So what do you look for in a 2D Mario game?
I don't know. Is it 4-player? Can I pick up my girlfriend and run to the end of the stage again where she can't play?
You sure can.
Sweet. No, I don't know. I'm not watching their faces in a 2D game, like I'm more looking, like I was saying, like, is this a big deal, groundbreaking kind of thing, or is this a play on the traditional Mario format, which has been run to the right, avoid several hours. Yeah. And that seems to be what it is. So, and I guess, like, in a side-scrolling Mario, I also don't look for personality in Mario. Like, not that I don't want it, I just wasn't keeping an eye out for it, because this is run to the right. It's not a 3D platforming Mario, which is where you'd expect him to have most of his personality.
Yeah, which I think why, in retrospect, this does feel like the right time for this kind of Mario game. If they came out and said, hey, here's Super Mario Odyssey 2 or Super Mario Galaxy 3, I'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. That feels like a bit much right now. And I don't know if that's just because of it's simpler compared to everything else that's out that's garnering a lot of attention or gameplay time, or it's reflective of just kind of where the Switch is in its life cycle, that they're not rushing to say, hey, here's the next big 3D Mario, because we want to keep people entertained for the next year or two. It seems like some of these games that were announced signaled to me, at least, that, hey, this is going to be great between now and the end of this calendar year. And they even had 1 or 2 things that they hinted at that were for next year, like Peach is finally getting a standalone game. But that also kind of screams like, hey, we're going to do what we can do really well on this hardware now, and we're going to save some of the heavy hitters for end of next year, maybe in 2025. I think that's when we're going to start to see things like your 3D Mario sequels or brand new entries. I got to imagine Metroid Prime 4 at this point, I can't even see it being like the swan song for the console. It's going to be something that they're going to maybe launch new hardware alongside. Because that would be huge to have a 3D Metroid day one. I mean, it would do for Metroid what Breath of the Wild did for Switch sales, and Zelda this was the game you buy. Like, it was the true system seller, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's coming. I just think it's coming in 2 years from now.
Do you think Metroid could sell consoles? Like enough of them?
I think
I think it will. I just don't know if it'll sell what Nintendo's expectations would be for a new console.
I believe, and I'll have to double check this, I believe Metroid Dread was one of the best-selling Metroid games ever.
It's incredible.
It's very
So-
good. It's
so
excellent.
good.
And that, that's a traditional 2D style Metroid game, which is its bread and butter. I do think that Metroid, especially for Nintendo, has always been a technical showpiece as well. When Prime came out for the GameCube, it was like, oh my God, I didn't know the GameCube can do serious games, right?
Yeah.
And so I think to have that alongside a new piece of hardware to show, especially given Retro's penchant for like just pushing hardware to its limits, early on, I think that could be a good showpiece for like, yes, here's our Switch 2. It's going to be very similar or maybe even same form factor with a spec upgrade. But look what it can do. And then boom, Metroid Prime 4. I think that would be a great way to get people into, hey, this is worth upgrading for. Or people that skip the Switch somehow to say, oh, wow, okay, that's more on par with what I'm used to seeing from maybe even my PS5. I'm in on that. And they might delve into a Metroid game where they otherwise wouldn't have, because there are some folks that are all about performance and how a game looks versus how it plays, which is, the antithesis of the Nintendo mantra, right? Like gameplay first. So I could see that being an interesting way to go, but that's years from now. Let's get back to the Direct. I'm interested that two of the games you mentioned, I mean, I had Metal Gear Collection in my short rundown of games to kind of breeze through, because it was actually announced a couple weeks ago. Sonic was earlier in the week too.
Wow, oops.
Yeah. I was like,
Very
all right,
behind.
well, it's what you're interested in playing. I knew Metal Gear would catch your eye. And the Sonic game actually looks really good. I am not good at 2D Sonic games.
Nobody is. You're not supposed to be.
Well, but they're like, go fast. And I'm like, okay, but if I go fast, I can't play the level.
Yeah, no, I at least the way I play Sonic is to just like run to the right, and then
There's
if
a theme here.
if I end up running to the left, then I run to the left. Like, I'm fairly certain they're like very large portions of stages that I've just never seen. You just kind of keep going through the obstacle course until you get to the boss at the end of the stage.
I
that's
feel
it.
like I've seen every inch of that factory level or whatever it is in Sonic 2, where you end up underwater somehow and have to very slowly jump out of the water until
That's-
you run out of breath and die 1,200
That's
times.
fair. I hate that one.
That is terrible.
But I'm
no,
a fan of any game that has Knuckles in it, though.
okay, that's true. And I like Tails, even though he's kind of a big wuss. I just like the character design. The one that caught my attention at the other big Mario game, which was the remake of Super Mario RPG,
Very unexpected.
did not see that coming.
No.
At all.
I feel like they've ignored that game for decades.
Well, it's been in a weird. Nintendo owns the IP, but I think Square Enix owns the rights. Like I don't know the ownership of that on the back end, how that can come to be. But it just like as soon as that trailer started, I started wigging out.
I think there was like a collective like, oh my god, from most of the world as they watched that.
Yeah, that game is amazing, and to see it come back with updated art styles. Apparently, the composer for the original is remixing and redoing all the sounds and music for the remake.
Oh, nice.
Which is the music. I mean, like, I can hear in my sleep. That game is excellent. And funny story about when that game came out. So when I was, I don't know whenever the Nintendo 64 came out or prior to its release, I was at a game shop on Long Island when I was visiting family, and they had a Nintendo 64 hooked up to a television. I didn't see the console. It was like behind the counter, and it was they were playing Mario 64. No one was actually playing, so it was Mario's idle animation, which in that game is he falls asleep. And so I remember staring at that going like, oh my God, is this the next Mario game? This is incredible. This looks so good. And then I remember asking my mom, like, Mom, we have to rent this new Mario game I saw. It's amazing. And so we went to Blockbuster Video, and I asked the person, I said, I want the new Mario game. And he goes, you got it. And he goes and gets Super Mario RPG Land of the Seven Stars for Super Nintendo. And we go home, and I look at the box art, and the box art had, not the box art, the cartridge. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
It had the cartridge art where it's like, oh, pseudo 3D Mario, and then the other people there. And I was like, yeah, no, that's it. 3D Mario. Cool. Yeah. So I put it in, and needless to say, when that game boots up, I was like, this isn't what I saw at all. And I was so disappointed. But now I had this game for 5 days that I was like, well, I have to play or my mom will get mad at me. And I did, and it was incredible. And there hasn't been really a good way to play it in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been.
I think it's on the SNES Classic.
Really?
And that's it. Maybe the Wii Shop, like forever ago. But other than that, it's kind of been lost in limbo. And so this is kind of cool to see out there. And I'm really excited for every high school student, sorry kids, that is for whatever reason a gigantic Geno fan because they just want him in Smash Brothers, but they don't know why they want him in Smash Brothers other than they do because everyone does.
Yeah.
Now you can actually go and play the game that Geno originated from and shut up about him. Because while he is great, you might go, oh, I don't even like this game. I just wanted to get on that hype of wanting him in Smash Brothers.
I gotta say, I'm very surprised to see them like acknowledge Super Mario RPG at all. My first experience with it was a friend brought it over at a sleepover. Like,
that's gotta be like one of the worst games to play at a sleepover.
Yeah, it was terrible because he brought it over and it was like I had no idea this existed. I never got to play it, and he's like, nobody really knows about it. Nobody really plays it. It's an awesome game, and then puts it in and then proceeds to just sit there and play the game in front of me. So I like did not actually get to play the game.
You got the help and read along.
Yeah. Yeah, but even on Wii, like I could pick up a second controller and like collect
Star bits?
Yeah, like I just had to sit there like a schlep and just watch him like just play Mario RPG. So my first experience with the game, not that great.
I'm sorry. Well, hopefully this will rectify that. I know I will be eagerly anticipating sitting down with this day one to just get into and I've never beaten it. I've gotten very far. Never actually completed the game, so I think this is it. This is obviously the time where I'm now, hey, I can do this the right way, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for that. That comes out on November 17th of this year. Some other announcements. I was really, really glad that they did not forget about the sequel to Detective Pikachu. No word yet on if they're doing anything with the first game. I know this game was announced years ago, and they said, hey, we're considering porting the DS version to new hardware. This doesn't look like they're going that route unless they decide to do it as like a, I don't know, pre-release bonus or something like that. But this looks kind of cool and fun. It was really interesting to hear Pikachu talk the way that he did.
Wasn't that his voice in the movie too?
No, Ryan Reynolds was his voice in the movie. This was more akin to like...
I didn't see the movie or play the game, so...
Oh, okay. Well, the movie is not bad. It's definitely a kid's movie. So it's got that like... third act where you're like, all right, this is just let's let this happen so we can get to the happy ending. Otherwise, it's not terrible. And the game, it's this gruff sounding guy who's obsessed with coffee and hits on women. Like it's a really weird choice. But like I kind of love when Nintendo says, hey, we're gonna take these established characters and just do something different with them. Like Pikachu going from being cutesy to having a caffeine addiction, or like Super Mario RPG, Bowser being an ally in that game for the first time, to me as a kid was like, wait a minute, you're gonna be on my team? Oh, okay, this is awesome, because you get to play with him, and the humor in that game is just so great.
Welcome to the Super Mario RPG podcast.
Oh, wait till November. It'll happen. Other big announcements, we got some Tears of the Kingdom amiibo, which if you can find the link for Tears of the Kingdom, please let me know. I have not been able to find it anywhere. WarioWare has a new game coming out called Move It, which is based on a lot of motion-oriented micro games, as they're referred to. If you're not familiar, it's just rapid fire, literally like 5-second micro games with weird Mario-esque humor in there.
Yeah, it's basically like red light, green light with a weirdo with a weird mustache.
Yeah, but some of those games are strange, like pick the nose hair. You're like, okay, and you pluck one thing, and it's like, you win.
Yeah,
okay.
There's like no rhyme or reason to a lot of them.
No, but it seems that they're doing some infusion. Like that, they showed a bit where one of the mini games was Mario going down the slide from N64. So maybe they're revisiting some older Nintendo properties to inspire some of the mini games, which would be really cool. Really cool. Now, I'm curious on this one for you because I know you played the game and you put a decent chunk of time into it. I had originally skipped it, but the direct opened with a pretty hearty look, not like super involved. It was actually just the right taste of the expansion packs for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. You've put considerable amount of time into those, or one of those games. Thoughts on that?
So when I finished the game, I just kind of like...
You did finish it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished it and then just like stopped, which has kind of been how I've gone through Pokemon games for the last few years because I just don't have the time to like keep working on my party anymore. When I was a kid, I had like full parties of level 100 Pokemon.
Right.
I can't do that anymore.
No.
But the DLC, to me, it looks more like an expansion.
And maybe I phrased that incorrectly. Yeah, I think they are referred to as expansions.
They might have been. I don't know. Either way, like they look big. They look very interesting and well fleshed out and well built, like a whole new story. Which I like because a lot of times you get DLC for games, especially with Nintendo, I feel like, where the DLC takes place further back in the game. And it's like, I've already beaten this. Why do I want to like pretend that I haven't and go back and do the DLC? But this seems like a completely different kind of story, which I think is what they did with the last Pokemon game as well.
Yeah, Sword and Shield had 2 expansion packs that came out after, which I did not play, but I've been told that they made the game considerably better. Like most people would think or deem those expansions to that game better than the core game itself. So it seems like Pokemon Company knows what they're doing when it comes to their expansions and DLC.
Mm-hmm. And because it seems like they're doing something different with it. You know, like you play the mainline game and you've got to get through the story and you've got to kind of be guided, which is something that Sword and Shield really did, like guided you through the game. But the expansions are like, all right, you know how to play the game now. Here's a new story. Yeah, go, just do something. So will I get them? I don't know. Depends on where I'm at and if I feel like coming into the games later. But they do look interesting. They look really good. Like I said, they look pretty. They look beautiful. Definitely worth playing.
They do a really good job of showcasing their games. Because I was watching the trailer and I was like, I gotta get Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, like one of them. But then I remember that game is a buggy mess and still is to this day and doesn't play very well.
I didn't hit too many bugs.
Well, I guess the internet has a way of amplifying things, but I've seen a lot of stuff and I've even read like, hey, here's a follow-up review from last year. This game is still kind of a train wreck in some areas.
It definitely does lag. It definitely has some feelings of like the first of Breath of the Wild, where like you'd walk into some grassy areas and like half the frame rate suddenly. It does that in a lot of places because it's a very large game.
Right.
And it is a bummer. Like, I don't think it takes away from the game overall, but it is annoying to just suddenly, again, just feel like you're crawling. I haven't really touched it since I finished it, so I don't know if any updates have made it any better, but it's still like a genuinely enjoyable game. And considering what they managed to do with Tears of the Kingdom to make the game run pretty well, I'm hoping they carried some of that stuff over to the new DLC for Pokemon, and it will run better than the original game did.
We spent some time with getting to know Pikmin 4, which looks interesting. This is one franchise that I really want to like more than I actually like. Have you played any of the Pikmin games?
Played the first one.
Yep.
And the timer turned me off so much that I never got into another one. And I know it's not there anymore.
Yeah, I was the same exact way.
But yeah, it turned me off enough that I was like, well, I didn't like the first one, so I'm not going to bother with the rest of them. And like, I have nothing against the games. Like, I'm not adamant against them. It's just that the first one didn't grab me, and there's a whole bunch of other games that have, so I just never really got back into it. But the nighttime Pikmin look really cute.
Oh, the little glowy dudes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah, no, this does look a little bit more robust compared to offerings in the past. And I think for the 4th iteration of a game, you need to just not do more of the same. And granted, it's more of the same, but it's like more of the same. New Pikmin types. You have your dog pal. You can go out at night now. Some of the areas were inside this house, which looked kind of cool. So it definitely looks like it's moving in a direction where I'm more interested in it than I would be normally. But again, it's not traditionally a game that I've gravitated to as oh my God, I can't wait for this game. And I'm kind of bummed by that just because it's one of the rare first-party Nintendo games that I just, oh, okay, cool. Like, I don't have a huge admiration.
Yeah.
Well, admiration I have. I don't have any desire to want to sink my teeth into it in a meaningful way.
I mean, it's how long ago did the first one come out? Like 20 years ago now?
It was a GameCube game,
yeah.
So early 2000s? 2002, maybe? 3?
Yeah, to be somewhere around there, 203.
Yeah, so we're about 20 years.
Yeah, so it's if it hasn't grabbed you yet, it's probably just not going to, because it's just I don't know about you, but to me it feels like when I see announcements for Pikmin, it's almost like noise. Like yeah, I hear about it, but it's a franchise that I never got into, so it's like, yep, here's the Pikmin trailer. I'll let that go by while I wait for them to talk about something I do like Pokemon I've been playing for the last 20 plus years. So even if the game doesn't pique my interest, like I see it, I'm like, well, at least I know Pokemon is something I've cared about for the last decades.
Well, when you have identifiable characters and recurring Pokemon, and it's a little different than like, oh, there's a little red dude and a blue girl and a rock thing.
There's Captain Olimar.
I don't know what happened to him because I didn't finish the third one, even though it was pretty good, but it was kind of like, all right, hey, this is the best that what this game is made of will ever be. And so the fourth seems to do add enough wrinkles to like make it okay, I can look its way and not just feel like it's more of the same. But I do think, I feel like this is the Nintendo franchise of, okay, one more game, we're going to give it a go. And if it doesn't catch on, we're going to drop it. I think Miyamoto's like, no. This is what I like doing, so you're going to put it out there. I feel like he's got a little bit. I get a sense that he has some pull over the existence of this intellectual property more than some of the other stuff. Like, we know if he was like, I'm not making Mario anymore, they'd be like, cool, we got it, not a problem. But if he was like, I'm kind of done with Pikmin, Nintendo might be like, oh, thank God. Because I don't know how well they sell, but I mean enough to warrant a fourth entry. And with the install base of the Switch, you never know. And if you never played any of the other ones, the third one is also on Switch. It was a port from the Wii U game, and Pikmin 1 and 2 HD are now released on the Switch eShop 2, which are visual upgrades from the original GameCube games. The second one seemingly being really, really good. That's the one I've spent the least amount of time with. But 1 was okay. 2 and 3 got rid of the timer, and 4, well, time will tell. Speaking of remakes, we got a few other things. Luigi's Mansion has a remaster of the 3DS game Dark Moon, which was really good. I still think the third one's the best in that series, but 2 was definitely overlooked at its time. We get some additional Mario Kart 8 characters and a brand new course. This was built from the ground up, seemingly, as well, which is odd because everything's been a rehash of something from a previous game or the mobile version.
Yeah, that the whole game really has been... Like, how many original courses are in that game?
Well, outside of the original ones from the core game, then you had the DLC ones, which were a mix of every Mario Kart ever. Mm-hmm. And then you had the mobile game, throw some tracks in there with the DLC packs. This has been the first one in a long while. And it's weird because it's a bathroom. Like, I feel like it's just micro machines, but...
micro machines.
But like Mario style. I don't know. The course looks great. We got the additional characters. We had those. We now know who the question marks are. I thought they would have gone outside of the Mario Kingdom, but we're getting Wiggler and Kamek and shoot, I forget the other one. I forget the third one. Dang it. I should have written it down. I didn't. I feel like if I were to be an obscure Nintendo character, it would be Wiggler. We got a port of the Batman Arkham trilogy, which are great games. Just
very weird.
Yeah. Those were like 360 games, I think.
Yeah.
So
you enjoyed them?
I enjoyed the first one because it was a little bit more contained when they were like, hey, you can go anywhere in Gotham. I was like, I don't want to. Just push me through the story because the combat
Batman,
was really great. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to play the story. So they were really great. Kind of odd that they're coming so late after their release, but I guess if you haven't played them, cool.
Yeah, like whose idea was that? Like, are those games still making money to the point that Nintendo was like, we need these on the Switch?
No, I don't think that. However, they are owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has been going through some behind-the-scenes changes at the top, and I think they are literally saying, hey, we only care about the stuff that makes us like trillions of dollars. So maybe there was input on, oh, Batman's popular, let's get that where it's not yet, and oh, Switch, here, take it. I would not be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah, just still a weird decision.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a big pass for me. No thanks, I'm good.
Yeah.
DLC for Mario Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. Definitely worth looking into if you like tactics games. Speaking of tactics games, this was announced earlier in the week at the Xbox Showcase, and I'm really stoked for it because I fell in love with Persona, but they are doing Persona 5 Tactica, which is a turn-based tactics game. kind of in lieu with Fire Emblem meets Persona to some degree, and that is awesome. Have you played any of the Persona games?
I have not.
Big recommendation because they're amazing.
Okay.
Huge time commitments though, and that's the only drawback.
What it seems like everybody I know who's into it like loves it, and that's because they have dedicated like roughly 1/3 of their life to the game.
Yeah, if you want to I'm gonna go back. I have not played 3 or 4. I'm looking forward to those on the Switch and one of the remasters. 5, if you want to like mainline the story, which is kind of a joke because you can only mainline the story, but you're looking at 100+ hours like just to finish the story. Like there's no shorter way to do it, and I'm currently in the middle of my second playthrough. That's how good it is though. So
The guy who's put almost 300 hours into Breath of the Wild wants to know where you found 250 to put in a Persona twice. Well, once, but twice.
well, because I have to if I wanted to play it again. If I don't have to put 300 hours in the Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
You don't have to play Persona again.
No, this is true.
the point that I'm getting at.
But this was Persona R, so there's a whole separate integrated story that you can only experience by playing the entire game again. So one of the things that was the biggest surprise for me was apparently, I didn't know this at the time, it was a remake of a PlayStation 1 game called Star Ocean.
Yes.
That game looks really, really cool.
Yes.
It ticks off every kind of aesthetic that I enjoy. It's got like sprite-based characters, but a more robust looking overworld and like anime style pop-ups for when characters are having conversation and dialogue. It looks to be fully voice acted. And it's got a real-time combat system. This looks really cool. I got to check this game out. I'm not familiar with the franchise, but it looks really, really good.
I don't really have comments on it other than like,
Damn
it looks
Joe.
awesome.
Damn you. I mean, we moved through a lot of the heavy hitters. We talked a little bit about maybe preemptively the horizon of, what is going on for Nintendo in the future. Was there
Is
anything?
that a nod towards Zero Dawn on Switch? You said Horizon.
Oh, could you imagine?
The Switch would melt.
It probably would.
Absolutely melt.
Beautiful. So was there anything that was not shown that we think is a little telling, or that maybe Nintendo might be saving for what could be its final year next year?
Yeah, there was no talk of the next entry in the Zelda franchise. Like, I think that's a little ridiculous. Like,
we haven't gotten a Zelda game in 7 or 8 weeks, so it is a little unreasonable. Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's people are clamoring for it. Like, look at Reddit. People are furious.
People are furious on Reddit?
No, I don't know. I haven't been on Reddit in weeks.
Oh, okay. That's good.
But yes, people are furious on Reddit for just a multitude of reasons.
That's true. It's the Fury Central of the internet.
Yeah. I can't think of anything offhand that I was expecting to see, but again, I didn't have expectations for this direct even existing, let alone what was going to be in it.
No, I didn't either, but given kind of where we are with how much time might be left with the Switch before its successor, I thought maybe we get, it's been a very long time, almost I think a decade since we had anything in the Donkey Kong camp.
That's fair.
Give me something there. I know Retro's hard at work on Metroid, but a Donkey Kong Country style game or something anything would be great because I love Donkey Kong and those games are excellent.
We already had 2 Run to the Right Forever games. There's only so many you can announce in one video.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And I do think it was too early to mention Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. I know folks have wanted those for a while. I do think those are going to be games that are end of life cycle. Hey, let's just get them out there.
You must have been reading my mind because I didn't want to bring up Zelda again, but I was sitting here thinking, do you think they'll launch the next console and within the first 6 months say, Wind Waker, it's here, we did it, buy the new console, you have to, and I will buy 2.
I don't see them doing that unless they really jump the gun with new hardware and don't have a clear roadmap for what their big pillars are going to be within the first year. And that was something Nintendo was really good with when the Switch launched. They said, hey, yeah, Breath of the Wild launch title. And next month you're getting Mario Kart. And the month after that, Splatoon 2. And they had a pretty good cadence of one huge heavy hitter every month. We won't count the month that ARMS came out. But
Yeah,
like
Nintendo doesn't count that
the
month
first,
either.
yeah, the first year of that console had some really big titles, enough where people were like, "Hey, Zelda's done. What do you got? Here's Mario Kart. Oh, cool, awesome. All right." Like there was always something big to tide people over to the next big thing, and I think that was really important in the hardware success. So unless Nintendo's like, "Hey, we have a Switch 2 coming out, and Metroid's there," and then nothing for 6 months, then maybe we'll hold Zelda until then. Because I do think a traditional, 3D or even like old school top-down style Zelda game would be, again, much like, I know, we mentioned it last time, remake Oracle of Seasons and Ages in the art style of...
Link's Awakening?
Yeah, Link's Awakening.
Oh, my nostalgia.
That would be great.
It pains
I don't think it's going to happen. But like, I think much like Super Mario Wonder is a kind of palate cleanser, not to just Mario games, but games in general. I think that could be a good stopgap too. I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of Zelda, though, you've been playing Tears of the Kingdom.
I have been.
Me too. It's only gotten better the more I've played it.
Yeah.
I thought we'd take a little minute to just kind of check in and see where we are with that game, since when we first sat down with it, we had maybe played collectively like 4 or 5 hours between the two of us, enough to get some good impressions and quell expectations and raise some concerns. But now we've sunk considerable time in. As spoiler-free as possible, can you give me an idea of where you're at and what your adventure's been like?
Let's see. I've done 3 temples.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, 3 temples. I hope that's not considered a spoiler. There are temples in this game. Not traditional temples, though,
No.
which is a little disappointing, but it seems to be like the one... I don't want to call it a miss. The one thing that, like, Nintendo did not listen to. When, like, there were a lot of like things that people were asking for after Breath of the Wild, like they wanted like temples, like dungeons, and we still don't have those. But that's to me, like that's the only thing I've noticed that like really hasn't come along. But otherwise, yeah, I'm 3 temples in. I've done a crap ton of shrines, but I also feel like I'm not super far into the game, despite having done a lot of missions. Like it's. Breath of the Wild was kind of like this too, but because the game doesn't have like a real direct line, you don't really know where you are at any moment.
Yeah.
But like I've been to the Zora Kingdom, I've been to Death Mountain, I've been to a lot of places, but I also still have like 2 areas of the map that are still blanked out.
I've only unlocked 3 sections of the map.
Really?
Yeah.
How many hours in are you?
Probably close to 40.
Okay, so I'm a little ahead of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I've only done 1 temple.
Okay.
I started with the windy one because that's kind of the direction where it points you, like, hey, go this way and do that first. If you want to. I'm like, okay, I don't really know where to go, so sure, I'll go that way. But then I was so off put by all the snow areas. I was like, I want something a little more green and tropical. So I ended up like in the southeast corner of the map.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where I've been putzing around lately. Have you been down in that region yet?
I think I just got over to there, where it's like it's very like rainforesty and wet, right?
Not really.
that
I'm
the
still
coast?
like it's on the coast. Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't made it there.
There's a village over there, and I'm drawing a blank on the name. But when you show up, they're like, "Oh, the village is kind of sacked, and there's monsters everywhere, and we can't go back to it."
That the one that's overrun with pirates?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't been there, but like a lot of characters talk about that area. Like they're
Yes.
very heavily pushing you to go there.
Yeah, so I ended up there. That kind of becomes its own little like mini adventure, which is really awesome. So I won't spoil anything there other than to say like now that like that area has a couple different phases in it and I'm in the latter portion of it, I feel like I've got this habit because I did that. I did Hatino Village, which maybe that is Hatino Village. I think it is Hatino Village.
No.
Oh no, Hatino Village is the one with the dye shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole fashion thing going on there with the mushroom lady. The one with the giant stone in the sky. Kakariko.
That's the entire game.
Oh, true. That's true. Kakariko Village.
I went towards Kakariko and couldn't go there for spoiler-free reasons.
Oh.
So I turned around and have not gone back yet because
Spoilers.
I'm afraid of dying.
Interesting. Okay, that raises some questions because I feel like my gameplay has been this habit of like, I know I have to go save the princess or Zelda, but I also want to make the world right. And so like I'm hitting all these hot spots of like, oh, there's something going on in this village. Well, I'll fix what I can. And there's all these little like really cool and fun and just perfectly Zelda quirky kind of side quests and storylines where I'm like, I want to see this through. And I'm hoping that it doesn't put me in a spot where it's like, hey, all the cute fun stuff is done. Now you have to like do the story. But it's just been so interesting to play through those storylines that I have to see them through. And I really am just kind of like letting the major adventure just kind of backburn for now.
I've been like piecing at it, I guess. You know, like I've been doing the side missions and exploring, and then like if I come across an area where there's an actual like story mission, I'll take care of that, and then I'll go back on to doing shrines and stuff like that. Like I'm not really making like a conscious effort to do or not do the story. I'm just doing what's around because the game's just fun. And like while it doesn't lead you directly through the story, each area, like each place that you go leads you to something else, whether it's story related or not. And that like it just keeps the game moving. And one thing that I've found like super interesting about the game is that like everything has a purpose in this one.
Yes.
You know, like there's missions built around going to every single stable.
Right.
You know, before you could, but you didn't have to.
No,
and
you
then,
would go to sleep or check out a horse.
Yeah, and now like somebody tells you like, hey, I need you to check out every single stable. You know, or I need you to check out like every single well in the game.
Yeah.
Like everything, the existence of every little part of this game has a purpose.
And seemingly you can probably not check out the wells, right? Like you have that one character that wanders and like she keeps track of how many wells you've been to. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that leads to something, but I also feel if you were someone who's like, I'm not really interested in that, if you didn't do it, no harm, right?
Yeah, you don't have to, but it's a little story that you get to follow. And it's like there's nothing in the game that exists that doesn't have a little story that follows it, at least from what I've noticed so far.
Yeah.
Which has been very, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand why they charge $70 for the game, because like I've already gotten $70 worth of it. Like,
without question.
Just such a big game.
Yes. And I think after my concerns over the initial few hours kind of have now passed. And I've said before on our podcast that Breath of the Wild is not one of my favorite Zelda games, because I'm a little bit more interested in, you know, the story elements and things. And while that has been something that I've just said I've kind of been avoiding in this game, I will give credit to Breath of the Wild for actually teaching me how to play this game correctly. I don't know what it is with open world games, but I get a sense of anxiety that I'm either doing something that I'm not meant to be doing yet, or I'm in an area that I should be going in the other direction, or oh, the road splits up ahead, and if I go too far down this way, is a cutscene going to happen? Am I going to miss out on what was on the other? Like, there are those little moments where my brain goes, gamer anxiety, you got to do everything all at the same time. But Breath of the Wild, in retrospect, I didn't play it the way they wanted, because I was just like, beeline every major quest. But now I am a lot more open to just, I want to go that way, so I'm just going to go that way. And like, my brain says, okay, this is the right thing to do. And it's more okay with it. And I think that actually took some learning. And I don't think that, for me personally, I don't think that would have happened unless Breath of the Wild existed prior. So kudos to that for letting me finally enjoy this game the way that it was supposed to be made or enjoyed. Even though I will admit to having the most boring Zonai contraptions ever. Like, oh, I got to get over there. A stick and a fan. Cool. Like, let's just do that.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Here's a plate with, I don't even want to put all 4 wheels on it. So here's a slab, 3 wheels, and here I go.
I did 2 wheels.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just put 2 wheels on the front and on a big piece of wood and steering device, and it just like dragged the back on the ground. I was like, all right, this works, cool.
I tried that, and I just fell forward. Like I might have used like a bad sized like slab, but yeah, it was unbalanced, and I just tipped forward and fell.
I tried to make a pontoon boat, but it wasn't weighted evenly. So like I started driving into the ocean, and immediately it turned into a submarine, and then I just fell off and was like, well, all right, I got to find a way to balance this. So that is kind of cool. No, I've been enjoying the hell out of that game. I've only done the one temple, and so I'm moving towards the second one. But man, I am perfectly okay taking my time with this game. And sadly, I haven't had a lot of time, but Yeah, this is going to be one of those games that like hopefully I finish by August because I don't want to get into the school year with more on my plate for this. So that's the plan at least because I would also like to play Final Fantasy 16 and I just can't do two of these kind of games at the same time.
Well, at least you have 2 Switches, so it's not like you have to like get out of one of the games. You just pick up with whichever Switch has the game on it or in it.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Right?
All right. Well, we will periodically do some check-in on Zelda. We're going to try and avoid any major spoilers, but we probably will get to a point where, hey, we're like 100 hours in and the game's been out for months. We'll get into it. But we'll preface any of that in the future because there are some specifics that I would love to get into. But if you're anything like us, this is a game that you're chipping away at and maybe have no desire to rush through. So we'll check back in. That'll be like a segment every podcast. We'll just kind of, hey, where's your Zelda progress? And given that we do an episode every month, maybe we'll make substantial progress between now and the next time that we can sit down. I know Kevin's got some stories. We were talking about a lot of things, and it was hysterical. So
yeah, that requires some showing up.
It sure does. Speaking of not showing up, so I made a game for today's episode, and it was a 2-player game. During the Direct, Nintendo had announced that there's a new Splat-Quest coming up, and the 3 teams this time around were based on ice cream. So, Joe, I just ask you very simply, vanilla, strawberry, or mint?
Vanilla.
Oh, you said that very quickly and very confidently.
I was prepared.
Oh, well, did you read the rundown?
No, I didn't.
No, you just know your favorite ice cream flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm team strawberry. I wanted to do Splat-Quest, which is where you choose your own adventure. Now...
Okay.
As the more frequent recurring guest, I would give you one of 2 options. You can either take the high road on your quest, or you can take the low road.
That's it? That's all the description I get?
Oh, no, there's more.
Okay.
You have to pick one of the paths first.
Oh, but I don't know anything about them. I just high road or low road.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take the high road.
Take the high road. All right, that would have left the low road for Kevin.
Okay.
So some of the categories kind of play off each other.
Oh, boy.
So we'll have to go through both to get the full effect of the game, and I can't play, obviously. So you're taking the high road. Mm-hmm. All right. There are 3 categories. Should you do all of them, or should you just choose one? All right, here are the categories for your high road. Cutesy Tootsie. Queuing. Sure, barbecue-related questions. And then because it is the high road, the third category is the best Nintendo characters to get high with.
You're asking the wrong person. Let's go with the second one. Queuing.
All right. Much like a Splatfest, you have to choose your team. So, at a barbecue, there are 3 teams to choose from. Are you team potato salad, team macaroni salad, or team coleslaw?
Team macaroni salad.
I had a feeling you would be.
Why?
I don't know.
Because there's a lot of mayo in it.
Maybe. I love mayo. There's mayo in all of them.
That's fair.
They're like 50% mayo. Team macaroni salad. I am team potato salad.
Okay.
No one is. Coleslaw's good. Coleslaw's good. Not at a barbecue though. Maybe at a diner when you get a sandwich and a pickle, side of coleslaw. Every time.
Which I then pass off to somebody else.
That's right. Okay, perfect. I'll take it. See, that's why we should go to a diner.
Yeah, that's why we're not enemies.
That's right. Even though you just said we were. Who is the best Nintendo character to get high with? I gave you 3 options here.
Okay.
All of which are terrible. Donkey Kong, Kirby, or Yoshi.
I'm gonna have to. I think it would have to be Yoshi.
I agree.
Okay.
Explain.
Well, Donkey Kong would end up just like crushing the spliff.
Probably.
Try to pick it up. Kirby's a pretty similar. He'll just take the whole thing in one hit, which would be hysterical.
It would.
Honestly, like it'd be really funny to see Kirby just an entire joint at once.
But if he got a little snacky afterwards, it'd be over. You'd have no snacks left.
He'd probably just eat you.
Yes, that's a possibility.
He wouldn't get any powers, but it'd be like eating a Waddle Dee. Yoshi, on the other hand, is
empty calories. Waddle Dee.
Exactly.
Pointless. Pointless. Carbs.
Yoshi, on the other hand, is the only one that would like kind of give you a chance to actually get anything out of it. So
true.
I think that's why. And then you guys you can just hop on his back and I don't know, go have some kind of crazy adventure.
Also, if you were stoned and Yoshi ate you and then like pooped you out as an egg, it would probably be hysterical.
That actually sounds like fun.
I mean, I don't know if going through someone's intestinal tract and coming out as an egg sounds like fun.
Yeah, but if it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be fun when you're stoned.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I went with Yoshi as well. Kirby, I think, would eat everything, and if Donkey Kong like passed out on top of you,
Oh God.
yeah, it would be the end of you, right?
Yeah, I think
right.
Donkey Kong would probably be the worst of them.
Yeah, I agree. All right, category 1 was cutesy tootsie. I'll avoid saying her name, but you have to pick one of the 3 loved ones in your life: Kent, Cassie, or your significant other.
Oh.
You know what? I made this question. I'm like, Joe's gonna take the high road. I know he's gonna take the high road.
I feel. You know what though? I feel like this is still an obvious one. It's gonna be Cassie.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Joe's first dog is Cassie.
Yeah.
His second dog is Kent, and his girlfriend he's known forever. He did not pick. Okay.
That's not where I thought you were gonna go. I actually thought you were gonna say that my first dog is Cassie and my second dog is my
No,
girlfriend.
I know.
So I'm glad you didn't.
Oh no, I would not say that about her. She's lovely. She loves books. All right, so Kevin's not here. He would have gotten the low road. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go down the low road, Joe.
Okay.
Your 3 categories.
This is a whole separate episode.
No, it's not. We're good. Your 3 categories are not cutesy tootsie, but deadly wedly. Your second category, instead of queuing, is Q-illing, and you're like killing. That's
Gotcha.
what it yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then your third category is, well, we're not getting high. Who is the worst Nintendo character to be around when they are depressed? Where do you want to start?
I want that one.
All right.
Yeah.
So, here are your 3 options: Birdo, Toad, or Tingle.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh. The worst to be around when they're depressed. I think. I feel like 2 of them are pretty much depressed all the time, or at least in some sort of like panicky state.
Who?
Tingle, I feel like, is hiding it. I think Tingle's depressed all the time.
Okay.
He just like he's that kind of depressed where like, oh my god, I never thought it would be Tingle, but it was Tingle. And
Oh, you mean like the guy that murdered your family?
yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
And then Toad is very much like,
Wow.
yeah, the princess got kidnapped again for the. You know, I don't even care anymore. This is fine. Whatever. Like that's Toad to me.
Have you played the new Paper Mario game?
No, I haven't.
Strong recommendation. It's
Yeah.
awesome. The Toads are hilarious.
Are
Like,
they?
it's worth it for the writing and the humor alone.
Okay.
Like, if you want to laugh out loud legitimately, it's an awesome game to play.
Okay. Birdo, I wouldn't say seems depressed all the time, but Birdo's kind of got sad eyes. I'm gonna go with Tingle. Tingle's probably the worst.
I agree. I'm not trying to agree with you every time, but Tingle's annoying as shit.
Yeah.
And I think he would be just as annoying even if he was mopey. So he would be the worst one to be around.
Yeah.
All right, second question. I want to end on a gaming one. So,
Okay.
killing.
Okay.
Barbecue related question. You're at a barbecue, but you have to slaughter the animals that they're going to cook for you.
Oh no.
So, are you killing a pig, a cow, or a chicken? It's the low road, a little bit darker. That's where I was going with this.
Cow, pig, or chicken?
Yeah.
I'd say probably the chicken.
Just because of its size?
I think it would just be the easiest one to not screw up and end up like scarring yourself. Because he told me about cows would be difficult because they're large. Not that they can really go anywhere, but they're large. Pig seems really easy to screw up. So I'm going to go with chicken.
True. Okay. All right. I guess we're not having burgers and dogs at your barbecue then, huh?
We can. They're just coming from the grocery store.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Our final category, deadly wedly. Which game has the best game over screens? Mario, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid. And I want to give a shout out to Sega Rally Racing.
Game over, yeah!
It is a toughie. Metal Gear Solids are good, but they're pretty much all the same. It's just a very
Snake.
yeah, and just like a cybery game over screen. Remind me of what Resident Evils look like. Like, are they all similar? Don't they also just have like a kind of like scary looking game over?
It says you're dead in like bloody font with like a really horrifying sound effect.
It is pretty metal.
It used to like legit scare me when I was a kid. Like when I died and that said, "You are dead," I was like, I'm dead. Like it was like it hit in a way that it doesn't now, but it was still terrifying.
Yeah.
And Mario just has that iconic like do, right? And then, yeah.
That's definitely the most iconic one. But if we're gonna go for the best, I do like the Resident Evil one. It's a good one.
Again, I would agree with you. All right. See, we're one and the same here. Yeah, I think the Resident Evil one had the most impact on me personally. So cool. All right, Kevin, thanks for playing. All right, well, that's going to be our show for today. Thank you for being a part of it. Make sure you check out some of the other stuff on our YouTube channel, our older podcast episodes. We're trying to do monthly cadence here. So far, we've been pretty good, and we look forward to chatting together in the near future, having you listen and hopefully chat back to us in the near future. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.